Conservative new media viewers and JLin fans around the world, what is up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to talk about the last couple of games for the Rockets and for JLin. Those games, and I don't remember what numbers they were. I'll look it up while I'm doing this. Were the Sacramento Kings game and the game that took place last night against the New York Knicks. Now, I know a lot of you guys are upset, which is why I'm making this video. I have been, again, looking at what's being said. I've been over at JLin.net examining what people are saying, and I know there are a lot of people frustrated and a lot of people really upset with what some of the media and some of the internet sites are saying. And that's the reason why I'm making this video. And a lot of people just kind of want to like throw their hands up in the air and give up or kind of tune out for right now. And that's understandable. I get that. I really do. But you don't have to do that. And that's part of why I'm making this video. Okay, the Sacramento Kings game, that was the 110-106 loss in game number 34. And the Knicks game was the 102-100 win in game number 35. Now, the Sacramento game, the issue was how Jeremy was being blamed for the loss and being blamed for the loss unfairly. Let me just say this quickly. Yes, it absolutely was unfair that he was getting blamed for that. It was ridiculous. I saw some of what was said on certain sites. It was crazy. Okay? Jeremy played incredible defense in that game. Incredible defense. Yes, Isaiah Thomas had a couple of points, 7 points or whatever in the fourth quarter. Well, Jeremy had 6 points, and at least 2 of those points didn't even come against Jeremy. They came in transition when Jeremy went to guard another man. Because when you are on a fast break playing defense, you've got to get to open men. You can't take time to go and pick up your man. You've got to get to an open man. So on that play, in transition, Jeremy did the right thing. Then another play was Isaiah Thomas hit a very, very difficult three-pointer after Jeremy had fallen down. Jeremy was trying to get a charge on him. I believe that was that play. And that, look, it was, he made it, the play didn't work. And Isaiah hit a very tough shot. Okay, it happens. And then the other play was, I can't remember. Isaiah Thomas went to the basket and drew a foul and hit 1 of 2 free throws. Jeremy frustrated Isaiah Thomas incredibly in that game. He was in Isaiah Thomas's head. So much so that Isaiah Thomas didn't want to do things on offense. You saw Isaiah Thomas went to the basket there and he threw that crazy brick scoop layup. That's because he was scared of Jeremy. That he basically was, Jeremy was doing to him what he did to Tony Parker. If anybody says differently than that, they don't know what they're talking about. As simple as that. Don't listen to them. They either don't know what they're talking about or they have an agenda against Jeremy, or both. So I know what was said after that game, and I know people blame Jeremy, and they're just 100% wrong, or just don't want to see Jeremy succeed or want to make him the scapegoat. Do not listen to that stuff. It's frustrating. I know some of these people and some of these sites, the media, they influence people and their perception of Jeremy. It's not fair. It does happen. It is real. But just, you got to know the story for yourself and go out and tell the truth about it. Don't let it rattle you. Just know what happened. Go out and talk about it. Talk about it on Twitter. Again, get in the game. I'm telling you right now, again, just to wrap up the Sacramento game, Jeremy played one of his best games of the year in that game defensively. He was all over Isaiah Thomas the whole game. Nobody plays perfect defense constantly, particularly against someone as good as Isaiah Thomas. Going into that game, Isaiah Thomas was like top 12 or 13 in the league in PER. You're not going to stop him completely. Jeremy held him under his season average. And Isaiah Thomas shot 6 of 17 from the field. Okay? When we played the Kings a few weeks ago, Isaiah Thomas shot 7 of 12 and had 19 points against Patrick. So if people are telling you it would have been different or something, that's just not accurate. Not only is it not accurate, we saw that it wasn't accurate. So it's not even something you have to imagine. We already saw it. So again, there were people who wanted to blame Jeremy and make up things. But that's because they either don't know basketball or they don't like Jeremy. And that's it. So those people exist. I can tell you in stuff not related to Jeremy. I do a lot of basketball stuff and see other people who have agendas that have nothing to do with Jeremy. They have to do with other players, either putting down a player that they don't like or pumping up a player that they do like. So this happens all the time. Unfortunately, Jeremy has a lot of interest, both from his fans and from doubters. So this is going to happen. It's sad. I mean, I know one of the sites after the Dallas game, after Patrick got hurt in the Dallas game, is this, because we lost, is this going to be the defense? If this is going to be the defense with Jeremy, it's not going to work. We need Patrick right now. Well, except that Patrick was part of the team where they melted down in the fourth quarter, and Dallas shot like 11 of 12 from the field when Patrick came in the game. So these are just willful misrepresentations, I think. They're either ignorance or willful misrepresentations. My guess is that they tend towards the willful misrepresentations and or distortions. Like, you can make yourself believe something even if it isn't true because you want to believe it. You want to believe Jeremy's not any good. So when you see something, you attribute it to Jeremy, even though it has nothing to do with him. That's what I think's happening in these instances. And look, let me just say this. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace and an embarrassment, some of what has been said and the way that Jeremy's been treated. And I've said this on Real GM and other places around the internet. I've been a Rockets fan for 30 years, thereabouts. The way that Jeremy's been treated is a total disgrace by the broadcasters, by a lot of the media, some of the sites that cover the Rockets. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's like they don't even like him. It's like they're trying to put him down. Why would you do that to your own player? I mean, we've talked about this. Clyde Drexler, these things. Why would you do that? And I guess the point is they don't want him. I guess. I mean, that's what it seems like. So it's a shame, but it's real. And I can tell you that as someone on the outside looking in, someone that's participated in the media, this is definitely happening. It's clearly happening. And I know it's difficult for you guys to deal with it and to hear it, and you're hoping it will change. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to change. So what you have to do then is don't expect anything. Don't expect the media or the sites to be fair to Jeremy. And so then it doesn't affect you. You see what you saw. You know what you saw happened, and that's enough. That's why I tell you, don't go to sites, don't go to places that are going to bother you. Just let it ride. And I'll get back to this a little bit after we talk about the Knicks game, about how to mentally approach this and what to do and what Jeremy's doing about it. Believe me, Jeremy and his team know what's happening. I can assure you of that. And they've made a choice on how to deal with it, and I think it's the right choice. And I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, Knicks game. So the situation here is Jeremy does great in the first half, and then the second half doesn't do as great in the third quarter, and then he doesn't play at all in the fourth quarter, and they win the game even though Aaron Brooks shot 1 of 8, but Aaron Brooks got to be the hero at the end. He drew the foul on J.R. Smith and hit the 2 free throws, and Houston wins by 2. And so, okay, the team doesn't need Jeremy, and now Jeremy's getting benched for the third-string point guard, blah, 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 blah. Okay, look, couple things. Jeremy played great in the first half. We know that. Now, let's be perfectly honest here, okay? Jeremy did struggle in the third quarter. I'm not as worried about the turnovers. One of the turnovers was when he caught his own shot. So that was just like a perfect storm play. He missed a shot. He airballed the layup. And the reason why he did was he was afraid that Tyson Chandler was going to block his shot. So that made him hesitate. So then he threw up the shot. It went over the basket, and he caught his own shot. You can't catch your own shot. That's basically like jumping up in the air without shooting and coming back down. That's a travel. So it wasn't a big deal. Jeremy wasn't happy about the play, and it kind of got him out of his groove a little bit. And then he had a turnover where he went to make a drive, and the guy just poked it away from him. Okay. The thing I liked about Jeremy in the third quarter was he was aggressive. And it was unfortunate that he got pulled from the game because he finally was staying aggressive. In other words, I don't care if I make mistakes. I'm going to attack, which is exactly the way that he needs to play. But they got into a little bit of a deficit, and Mikhail went a different direction. Now, I will say this, and I know somebody mentioned this on JeremyLin.net, and some people didn't like it or its discussion. I will tell you this, and I've said this before. Jeremy did run into a real problem in the third quarter with his help defense. And that's what Udre was able to exploit. What you saw Udre doing in the game was he knew Jeremy was out of position. So what he would do is he would catch the pass and then drive right by Jeremy because Jeremy was too far away to be able to recover in time. Udre understood it, and he made the adjustment. Jeremy did a great job against Udre in the first half, but Udre made the adjustment in the third quarter, and that's why he was able to do what he did. So if you're Jeremy, you make the adjustment. He's got to give less help on defense. The rule with help defense is do not do it unless you can recover on your man. Now, there was somebody an anonymous source in the past that talked about Jeremy and his quote-unquote lack of athleticism. I have an idea of who the source is, but I won't say it. Let's just say it's somebody that I think has some connections with the Knicks. Let's just put it that way. The person said that Jeremy's lack of athleticism, or supposed lack of athleticism, would show up on the defensive end. And I got to tell you something. In that instance, in the help defense instance, that might be a little bit correct. Now, let me just say this. It's not a fatal flaw at all. The issue for Jeremy is he likes to help a lot on defense, and that's good. But again, do not do it if you're going to have trouble getting back to your man and checking your man. So what I would tell Jeremy is help less, because this is a consistent issue for him. Something like the turnovers. These are specific areas that he needs to work on, and that he can work on, and he will work on. Again, though, anybody saying that he's a horrible defender or he's just terrible, no, that's nonsense. But these are particular things that he can discipline himself to be better at, the same way that he learned how to shoot better. These are things that can be worked on mentally. And it's as simple as when the ball's on your side and you want to go help, just don't help that time, or help a little bit less. And then the next time, do the same thing. So that's what's going to happen with him. He's capable of doing this. Again, there have been point guards, great point guards, Steve Nash or whatever, that are not good defenders, that honestly are worse defenders than Jeremy is. And they were fine. So he can get beyond this. But he needs to work at it. And it was capitalized on by Udre and the Knicks. They did this on purpose, and it was sophisticated, and it worked. So, and look, I'll be honest with you, McHale knew that. Now, is Aaron Brooks a good defender? No. I mean, you can look at Aaron Brooks' history, and I'm not familiar with all of it, but I'm familiar with some of it. Aaron Brooks has never been regarded as a particularly good defender, and I don't think he did that great last night. Maybe he did a little bit better than Jeremy, but not that great. The reason why McHale stayed with Aaron Brooks was because his unit got the lead and made the comeback. This is what Kevin McHale does. I don't think Kevin McHale is a particularly good coach. In fact, I think he's really not that good. And we've talked before about how there are supposed ties between Daryl Morey and McHale, and maybe some people think that's why McHale's lasted as long as he has, or why he got the gig, or whatever. I don't know all the stuff. I just know that there's supposedly some good feelings between McHale and Morey, and maybe that's helped McHale out some in terms of this current job. I don't know. But we talk about the hot stock, cold stock. Buy the hot stock, sell the cold stock, or don't buy the cold stock. But that's what McHale does. This is why Dwight Howard didn't come back into the game until 6 minutes left, which was a lot like the game where Demo helped out and Dwight Howard didn't play. McHale will do this. So it wasn't just an out-and-out diss on Jeremy. Now, of course, Dwight Howard came back into the game and Jeremy did not. So there is a little bit of that. But McHale doesn't regard the power forward and point guard spot as set. Which I mean by that is they're not stars, so to speak. If he thinks one particular guy or a guy on a unit is doing well, then that guy's going to stay in. And look, is it fair to Jeremy? Not really, especially when recently Jeremy's played so great in the fourth quarter in a couple of the recent games. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense. But it makes sense in McHale's own internal logic of the situation. And that's why he did it. He wasn't doing it to try to punk out Jeremy. He was doing it because he wanted to win the game. And in his version of reality, this is what he needed to do, or this made sense. And that's what it was. It's not anything more than that. This has happened for Jeremy, where Jeremy, the recent game, I don't remember which one it was, Aaron Brooks hurt his ankle near the end of the third quarter, and Aaron Brooks was playing great. And then Jeremy came in, and Jeremy's unit did well, and then McHale kept him in for the rest of the game, even when Aaron Brooks came back and was ready to play again with his ankle. That's the way McHale thinks about the situation. Now, you can take issue with McHale viewing Jeremy as not a star or not a key piece, for sure. But based on how McHale looks at things, he did exactly what you would expect him to do. So I wasn't surprised by it at all. I figured it was going to happen. This is what McHale does. He rides the hot hand, so to speak. Let me see. What else with that? Yeah, look, Houston lucked out because J.R. Smith took the shot when he should have taken the shot. And then he fouled Aaron Brooks, which is just, wasn't a really smart play by J.R. Smith. I'll just leave it at that. I thought the Knicks played great. The thing that I've thought the most in watching the team the last three games, Oklahoma City, Sacramento, and the Knicks, is they're not a serious contender. We're not a serious contender at all. This team is too flawed, and it's not going anywhere, in my opinion. Now, I don't care who's playing point guard or anything. The only way that would change is if they made a big trade for another person, which I'm sure Morey knows that, and that's probably some of the reason why you're hearing Jeremy's name in a bunch of trade talks. So the way the team is constructed, it simply isn't good enough to go far in the playoffs. Dwight's post game is inconsistent. James Harden, maturity level is up and down. Sometimes he plays great team ball. Sometimes he gets into ISO ball, and turnover ball. So it's, Jeremy still has holes in his game. Terrence is young and still learning. Chandler still has weaknesses in his game. And as good as he can be, sometimes he's overvalued. the entire team, the offense it's predictable a lot of times. It's good and up-tempo, but if you attack the team in certain ways, if you stay on them like the Knicks did, if you don't let them dictate things, then a lot of times the team will crumble mentally, quickly, in my opinion. Again, this is to be expected from a young and inexperienced team that may or may not have a good coach. Let's just put it that way. So I'm not surprised by any of this, but the team is not quite as good as I thought they were going to be. They're not there yet. That being the case, I'm even less concerned if Jeremy gets traded. This team's not going to be... I thought that there was a chance that if everything came together, this team could actually seriously make a run to the finals. They're not going to do that. That's not going to happen unless new talent comes in, like serious level talent, maybe a point guard or whatever, somebody that's ready right now to win. And other teams in the West get hurt. This team is not better than Oklahoma City. It's not better than the Clippers. No way. Those two teams, if they're healthy, if those teams are healthy, although they're not healthy right now. Russell Westbrook's out for the Thunder. Chris Paul just went out for the Clippers. I don't think they're better than the Spurs, even though the Spurs, we've beaten the Spurs several times. The Spurs, they're a little bit down this year. My guess is they'll be stronger when the playoffs comes. And they have a master coach, the best coach in the NBA, and they've been there, and they're clutch. They know how to do it when they have to do it, although they haven't looked great this regular season. So I would not expect Houston to beat any of those three teams. And there's a chance they might lose to some other teams, like Golden State, who is playing incredibly well right now. Phoenix, I don't know about that. Portland, obviously we've beaten Portland, but I tell you, Portland is clutch. They're clutch in a way that we're not clutch right now. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat Portland in a series. Maybe. If we're hot shooting, we might be able to beat them. But they're building a confidence level that's incredible. So I would not count them out. So those are 4 or 5 teams that I don't think the Houston's they're going to struggle with at best in a playoff series. Everything would have to go correct. As I said, there are specific ways to game plan against Houston and things you can do to take them out of their flow. And that's a real limit for this team. And it's more of a limit than what I thought it was going to be. So, again, I say this all because I wanted Jeremy to stay on the team because I've thought the team was really, really good. And they are good. And they have a chance to be good, but it's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen this year, in my opinion. So I'm more okay with Jeremy leaving now because I don't think the team is going to go anywhere right now. So if he needs to go, that's okay. Let me just see the Knicks game. Anything else? No, I said the help defense issue. Jeremy played great in the first half. Look, Jeremy still has to work on some things. He still has to work on consistency, but he's playing great overall. And he's not in a great situation, which I'll talk about in a second. He's not in a good situation in a lot of ways. Almost everything seems to be against him. The fan base, the media, the internet sites, the coaches, everything. So, but he's making the best out of that. He's improving within the difficult situation. It's almost like a Cinderella thing, where Cinderella's got the wicked stepmother or whatever, and the sisters that aren't nice to her. And so Cinderella's got to do what she can within that circumstance. And eventually it all works out. That's kind of the way I think it is for Jeremy. Jeremy's improving and growing even though he's not in the type of circumstance that he probably deserves to be in. This is one of the issues with Morey ball, with Daryl Morey and the way he does stuff. You bring in Jeremy and he's going to be the face of the franchise, except you get James Harden 2 weeks later. or whatever, or a month later. Now, again, if you're Morey, you have to do that. You must get James Harden if he's available. So it's not like Daryl Morey had an evil plot to make things difficult for JLin. It's just the situation presented itself. So you got to do that. But this also happened with Omer Asik and Dwight Howard. And now apparently Dwight Howard wasn't happy after the Knicks game, probably because he was benched for a long time. So in other words, it's kind of a rolling ledger in Houston. You might come in and you might be the star, and then you might be not a star in about 5 months. And so all of a sudden you get diminished and whatever. And that's part of the deal with Morey ball. It's also part of the deal with McHale hot stock, cold stock. That's part of the picture. For other teams, it doesn't necessarily work like this. Maybe they give a guy time to develop. You're going to let him go out there. You're going to have a longer leash, whatever. That hasn't really happened necessarily for Jeremy. It did happen last year, except, of course, Jeremy was hurt, and his knee wasn't right for the first several months of the year, and then that was used against Jeremy. And that's what's happened in the fan base's mind and in the media's mind. That was proof, quote unquote, that Jeremy wasn't any good. Of course, it wasn't proof. But this whole thing hasn't worked out great for Jeremy. Now let's get to this. The approaches of people, the mentality of you guys, people throwing up their hands and whatever. And this is part of why I'm making this video. Again, I'm still on hiatus. Things are still really a struggle for me, with stuff right now, health, otherwise. So I'm not coming back anytime soon. I'm just doing this because I know people are not happy right now. And part of what we were able to do last year was kind of pick people up when they wanted to give up on Jeremy or give up on whatever. Now, over at JeremyLin.net, the poster K Huang, letter K Huang. A lot of what he has been saying and what Joyce Ward has been saying over there is absolutely correct, in my opinion. Do not give up on Jeremy. Do not think Jeremy needs to throw a temper tantrum and become Omer Asik and demand a trade or speak up for himself. No. That would be a fatal mistake for JeremyLin right now. If the organization and the media and the larger NBA fan base and the Houston fan base, they're all putting down Jeremy, which means that his value, his perception around the league is falling. So he doesn't have the standing right now to demand trades and to demand this or demand that. And he knows that. He and his team know it. So what do? Then you play the good soldier. You go to the media and say that James Harden's a superstar. He carried us and all. That's what you got to do. A lot of you guys think, oh, he's being the model minority and he's being the Asian guy who's letting people trample over him. No. Wrong. Jeremy is playing the long game here. Long game as opposed to the short game. He's got a vision for the long term. Right now, he's Cinderella in there having to scrub the floor while the bad sisters go out. He's taking all the lumps. He's getting all the scapegoating. But he's got a plan, just like K Huang said. I'm not saying that Jeremy's not playing a team game or whatever, because he still is, which K Huang said he's not. No. But what Jeremy's doing differently now, in my opinion, is, one, he doesn't react. It's not affecting him as much. He's not beating himself up after every game, which we know last year was a struggle for him. Two, he knows what the deal is. He and his team know what's being done to him, in my opinion. They know the falsehoods and the stilting that's coming out of the media. The reason why I can tell you this with certainty is because In the article from a month or two ago from Ian O'Connor, who covers ESPN New York, he said, talking to a source close to Jeremy, and I don't know who that is, but someone in part of Jeremy's team, that Jeremy's team was disappointed that when Kevin McHale decided to make Patrick the starter, that it wasn't presented in a positive light about Jeremy to the media. In other words, it was just like, oh yeah, Patrick's better than Jeremy, instead of, well, Patrick fits better. That wasn't made clear. In other words, it was left hanging out there. Yeah, maybe Patrick's just better. So they already know what the deal is. They know this. They expect this now. And what they're doing is strategic. It's tactical. They have made a decision. We're going to roll with this for now. And I know Jeremy changed from Nike to Adidas. I have no idea what that's about. But again, I trust him and his team. I'm sure there's a reason why they're doing that. And good for them. For Jeremy to change the game, to affect the game globally, to be a trailblazer for other people who don't fit the mold as NBA players, whether it's people from the Ivy League, people of Asian heritage, the underdog, whatever, he needs to stay in the game. If you go out there and start demanding trades and throwing fits, you're basically playing into your doubters' wishes. They want you to do that. They want that because then they can portray you as the ungrateful guy who's not that good. And then it becomes harder to get your next contract. That's why they're not doing it this way, Jeremy and his team. They know that. Believe me, trust Jeremy's judgment here. Jeremy's not a perfect person. Nobody is. Yeah, it'd be great if Jeremy was this. Look, Jeremy has plenty of confidence in himself and confidence in his game. And I'll tell you the truth. Sometimes he's too stubborn. He needs to adapt his game in small ways, like the turnovers, like the help defense. So Jeremy's not weak in any respect. If he were, he wouldn't be here. And Linsanity 1.0 never would have happened. Trust me, he's not a weak dude in any respect. He's got full self-confidence. Yeah, he has his moments, and he's doing fine. Jeremy has a great contract. Jeremy's getting big endorsement deals, and he's all over his face and his person is all over the place in Asia. I know it. I see people that go to China and stuff and tell me this guy's everywhere. You can't watch TV for an hour without seeing Jeremy Lin on TV in China and probably in other parts of Asia. That's part of the long game. Jeremy's in to win it for the long term, not the short term. And so, lose the battle, focus on winning the war. In a lot of ways, and it's not fair, Jeremy's already lost the battle in Houston. And I hate to say that, but that's what it is. But that's okay, because Jeremy's only under contract for this year and through next year. And then he's free. But he needs to get through this point in time. The way that you make sure that you're a viable entity for your next contract or for a team that might want to trade for you is you portray yourself in a good light. You're a good teammate. You don't make excuses or blame other people, even if you're being unfairly blamed. People look at this. General managers, other teams, how did this guy handle himself? Did he handle himself well, or did he melt down like Omar Ashik did? They don't want guys like that. Now, you'll take a guy like that if he's talented enough. But if you're Jeremy Lin and people are running down your ability, and Clyde Drexler's saying you're not a good defender on national TV, well, then you don't have as much margin for error. You've got to be the company guy. You've got to fit in, because then you have more of a chance to get the next contract where you want it and for the amount that you want. This is what he and his team are doing. I'm certain of it, and this is how you should do it. He can't do it any other way. Somebody mentioned, I don't know who it was, someone mentioned Jackie Robinson on JeremyLin.net. Jackie Robinson, the first African-American man to play in Major League Baseball in the United States. First year, whatever, all kinds of people ripping Jackie Robinson. He couldn't say anything because he knew he didn't have the leverage to say anything, even though what was happening was wrong. And it was clearly wrong and unfair and ugly, if you know about the stories. Jeremy can't say anything right now. He can't. And you have to accept that. So what Jeremy needs to do is go out there and play his game. I've mentioned before the concept of Gandhi. Slow social change. This is not going to happen in one fell swoop. And Jeremy goes out and demands a trade, and McHale plays him 48 minutes and he scores 50 points. It's not going to work like that. It's going to be methodical progress for Jeremy in his career and for him setting up other people like him after his career is over. That's what trailblazers do. You have to accept your role and your reality, the same way that Jackie Robinson had to accept things that he shouldn't have had to accept. But you have to accept it so that you can move forward and move the wheel of progress forward. If it becomes all about you, you can ruin the wheel of progress. Because then what happens is, well, we gave that guy a try. I guess other people like him, maybe we're not going to give him a try because he really messed it up. So that's the situation Jeremy's in. He doesn't want to do that for himself and for other people that are trying to get an opportunity that are similar to him. He's doing exactly what he should do. And I applaud him for that. And look, he's playing great. Yeah, he's not a perfect player yet. He still has things to work on, particularly the help defense. Look, his man-to-man defense has been really good in recent games. He's clearly picked it up. I heard the interview of Kevin McHale saying, somebody mentioned it, Kevin McHale before the game saying, oh, there's guys who think they're going to get playing time just because guys are hurt. Clearly, he's talking about Jeremy there, in my opinion. That's clear. Are you kidding me? Jeremy played incredibly well in the Sacramento game. I mean, extremely well and hard. So this is a circumstance where the media's spinning out nonsense and Kevin McHale's believing it. So this is what I'm saying. Jeremy's lost the battle in Houston because there's a whole bunch of people that don't want him to succeed for whatever reason. And now everybody's believing their own nonsense about he's not succeeding. And so when Kevin McHale comes out and says guys aren't trying hard, he clearly seems to be talking about Jeremy. That's a joke. But that's what's being regurgitated on the sites and in the media. So Kevin McHale believes it because he wants to believe it, I think. And why wouldn't he want to believe it? He already got rid of Jeremy. He already didn't believe in Jeremy, and the team didn't believe in Jeremy. So it's kind of human nature in some ways to want to justify what you did. Well, if Jeremy's not any good now, then it makes it easier for us to explain why we got rid of him before. So it's a trap for Jeremy. It is. There's no way any objective person, I think, could see this. But that's what he's in. That is the situation that he is in. And so then it becomes, how do you manage it? And I think Jeremy is managing it about as well as it could be managed, given that your Cinderella and you've evil stepmom is running the show. What are you going to do then? And that's what Jeremy's doing. Jeremy is having an impact. Again, he is a global icon. He is making good money so he can support his family And so he can go out and do what he wants to do. He can have the Jeremy Lin Foundation. He can make the videos that he made this summer. This is how you win, even if you're being treated unfairly in a particular circumstance. Make your money, get your endorsements, then you have a platform from which you can operate and effect change the way that you want it to be, whether it's to make things easier for the basketball players who are like you, whether it's to bring a message about religion, about God. This is what Jeremy's doing. And he's taking the long-range view about it, and he's doing it well. And he's still playing, he's playing great. And the Rockets have had, Jeremy's played in 25 games this year. In 19 of those games, he scored in double figures. And a couple of those games, he either got pulled quick, like the Dallas game, he only played 17 minutes, or else he's coming off of injury, the games when he first came back and then he had the back spasms, or else he got hurt, like the Atlanta game when he got hurt within the first 4 minutes. So, I mean, he's doing almost everything you want him to do. He's still shooting great. His three-point percentage is like 37.5. His field goal percentage is whatever it is, 48, 49, something like that. His total shooting is still great. His PER has come down some. I'll tell you about that, though. The reason why Jeremy's PER has come down is because he's taking a step back on offense. In general, he's letting more things not go through him. And that's good. I know you guys, individual stats. Jeremy needs to be able to do that. Like I said, this is the stubbornness or whatever. He needs to be able to do that in general and learn to play off the ball more and just learn to be kind of a cog on the wheel rather than running the wheel. And that's what the team wants. They want it to be more about Harden and stuff, so you need to adjust to that. That's part of why his PER is down a little bit. He's taking fewer shots, doing a little bit less, I think, and that's okay. So when you do things, do them efficiently, which is what he's doing, and spend some of your energy, more of it on defense, which is clearly what he's doing. Like I said, his defense in Sacramento game was extremely good. Maybe some of the best he's played all year. There's no question about that. Isaiah Thomas is very difficult guy to guard. Really, really difficult. He's small. He's quick. He can score like crazy. He's putting up huge numbers this year. Jeremy was all over him. All over him. Same with Udre. Udre surprised Jeremy. Udre is not regarded as a particularly great player or even that good. Jeremy easily held him down in the first half, no problem. But he didn't give him enough respect in the second half, in the third quarter, and Udre made him pay for that. And again, give Udre credit. Udre played the chess game properly there. He made the adjustment. The weakness there was Jeremy's helping off me too much. I'm going to make him pay for that. And that's exactly what he did. Now, that's fine. Jeremy will adjust to that. As I said, this nonsense, Jeremy's exposed, and see, he's not... No. Nope. No. Nope. Many guys in Jeremy's situation wouldn't play help defense like it. Jeremy just wants to help so much. And so once he starts backing off of that, you will see much less of what happened with Udre in the third quarter yesterday. He'll get there. Jeremy will get there. He is stubborn. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm a very stubborn person, so I can recognize the stubbornness in others. It's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing. Sometimes the stubbornness can prevent you from progressing. Like, I really do need to cut down the turnovers, and I really do need to play a little bit less help defense because I'm out of position. He'll get there. It takes time. It takes time. Jeremy is stubborn, but that's how he succeeded and stayed with it to succeed. But you can let it go a little bit too, and he has let it go. in terms of being the focus of the offense, and I mean running the offense. He has let that go more. That's why his PER is down. But it's good for him as a player to learn that. The same way that LeBron and Dwayne Wade had to learn, I don't need the ball in my hands all the time, even though I'm used to that. For me to operate on this team, I need to do that a little bit less for them on the Miami Heat. And that's what they've done, particularly Dwayne Wade. And it works. So if Dwayne Wade can do it, Jeremy can do it, and he's doing it. Okay, that's about it. Look, hang in there. Yes, I can absolutely 100% affirm to you Jeremy is being mistreated by the fan base and by the media and by the sites. There's no question about that. It's a joke. It's sad. It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing. It really is. This does happen. I've seen it happen with other players. It actually happens all the time. It's tougher for Jeremy and for Jeremy's fans because if you like Jeremy or you identify with Jeremy and you're Asian heritage, you don't have a bunch of guys to support. You got one guy or maybe a very, very few people. So if you like somebody and you want to identify them and they have a different background, like somebody that's white or somebody that's black, you have a whole bunch of guys you can support. You can say, well, okay, this guy's not doing so good, so I'll root for that guy. Well, you don't have that if you are supporting Jeremy or identify with him because of his Asian heritage. You don't have that, really, in the NBA. So it makes it greater. It puts more importance or more emotion into Jeremy's situation. But this does happen to others. It does happen all the time. I could give you a whole bunch of examples of it that are happening right now. But so I just want to tell you that it's not fair. It is wrong. It is happening. But it's not a permanent situation. Jeremy's only under contract with the Rockets for another year and whatever is left of this year and a half. He's moving forward. He's improving as a player, clearly improving. He's still doing his endorsements. He's making his videos. He's doing his JLin Foundation work. And he's mentally and spiritually, he's getting more calm. He's getting to a better place. So that's it. Cinderella can maximize her potential even if she's still living with the evil stepmother. And so that when that situation ends, she can shine. Well, that's where Jeremy's heading towards. Don't give up on him. I know you're frustrated. Don't blame him. Him taking a stand now, quote unquote, would be a career mistake. Let's just put it that way. That's not what you want to do. Particularly the way that he's presented and everybody doubting him again. That is absolutely not what he wants to do right now. Look, there's still a bunch of games to be played with Jeremy as the starter before Patrick returns. And look, he's going to remain the starter. Yeah, they could make Aaron Brooks the starter. I mean, that would be, if they really want to trade Jeremy, that would be a huge mistake. So I don't think that's going to happen. It could. Even if it did, don't worry about it if that happened. The key thing here is Jeremy's playing well. He's handling himself well in a difficult situation. You've had situations. We've all had situations. You weren't treated right. Your boss didn't treat you fairly. Your family member didn't treat you fairly. The situation wasn't fair, and you had to kind of take it on the chin. Well, that's a situation Jeremy's in right now. How do you handle it? How did you handle it? How would you have hoped to handle it? Hopefully you handle it the best that you can. You make the best of the situation. That's what Jeremy's doing. And that's it. I know there's a whole bunch of emotion around it, and there's things, and there's old stereotypes and stuff. Again, the model minority, the quiet Asian guy who won't stand up for himself. I know all that. That's not it here. Don't put Jeremy in a position that's not fair for him. Don't burden him with all of that. That's why I think part of what Jeremy was a struggle with last year. He knew there's all these things and all these expectations and things put on him. And you can't do everything. He's just one guy. He's one person in this situation right now doing the best that he can with it. And I think he's doing great. So don't expect him to solve all past wrongs in one fell swoop. He can't do that. And if he tries to do it, nothing good will come. It'll all fall apart because of too much pressure, which is part of what happened last year. So he has to handle the situation day to day. I'm sure he prays about it and does what he can. I think he's handling it great. He's still playing well, and he's being a professional. He's being a professional. He's supporting his teammates. He's supporting his coaches, and that's what he should do. His time will come, and I know it's frustrating. Look, all of us, we saw Linsanity 1.0. We thought, cool, he's going to get his own team in Houston after New York didn't treat him right and everything, and now we're faced with this, where he's getting benched in the fourth quarter for the third string guy. It's not fun. It's not fun. But when you go through a bunch of struggles, then it makes the victory even sweeter. The harder that the road is, it makes it even more enjoyable when you do succeed. I still think Jeremy's going to succeed. We just got to dig in a little bit longer. Look, if you have to step away, people saying they're not going to watch anymore, okay, I understand that. You know, I've had to do something along those lines. Well, then do that. Just don't rip Jeremy. He's doing what he can do. Again, remember, Jeremy is not a complete player yet. He's still a young player learning. So he still has to deal with that, in addition to everything else that he's going through and all the expectations and not being treated properly necessarily from the fan base and the media in Houston. He still has to deal with that. He still has to find time to improve and whatever. So in other words, he can't come in and talk back to the whole NBA and to the coaching staff and then go out and dunk on everybody like Michael Jordan in the next 40 games, because he's not ready to do that yet. From a skills standpoint, from a total player standpoint, he's not there yet, which is okay. But you can't expect him to do that right now. He's not at that position yet, although he's on his way. So that's it. I would tell you guys, don't be mad at Jeremy. He's doing the best that he can do in this circumstance. He is who he is, but the person that he is what got him to where he's at. So obviously it's pretty good. Whatever he is pretty good. That's why he was able to do what he is doing now. But speaking of that, I'm really happy for Mike D'Antoni because he just gave the chance to Kendall Marshall, who's a young point guard, who just signed with the Lakers. And Kendall Marshall blew up yesterday. He had a huge game, like 18 points, 15 assists in his first start for the Lakers. Thank goodness for Mike D'Antoni, for Jeremy's career and the career of a bunch of other point guards. Because I can tell you right now, if it weren't for Mike D'Antoni and coaches like him, guys like Jeremy never would get a chance. But now Kendall Marshall's getting to show what he can do. We already know what Jeremy can do. Others know it too, regardless of whatever they say. Just hang in there. Jeremy knows what he's doing. That's how he got to this point. He's not going to make everything perfect steps, but he's getting there. He's not in a great situation in Houston, in my opinion, but he's making the most out of it. He's getting paid good money. He's acting like a professional, and he's working on his craft. it's not going to last forever. At some point, he's either going to get traded or the contract ends and he can go somewhere else. For now, just enjoy it. If you can. If it frustrates you too much, then step away from it. I understand that. If you can just enjoy it, just enjoy it. Just look at it and say, yeah, you can look back on this and say, yeah, I remember that. I remember when he was getting treated poorly in Houston and this type of thing. When he's doing well again. Jeremy's a young guy. He's got hopefully a long career ahead of him, which is why he's handling things the way he's handling them now. Hang in there. Hang in there. Okay, that's it. Again, I didn't expect to make this video, but I know a lot of people aren't happy, so I figured I would make it to kind of give my input and boost the spirits. The summary. Jeremy played great in the Sacramento game. Fourth quarter certainly wasn't all on him, and the loss absolutely was not on him at all. Jeremy sparked the team in that game, without question. If it wasn't for Jeremy, that would have been a blowout loss. It was similar to the Memphis game, where he sparked the comeback. He sparked the team in that game. The fourth quarter wasn't perfect. Jeremy did well. He did great on Isaiah Thomas the whole game, regardless of what anybody says. Knicks game, incredible first half. Jeremy being Jeremy. That's the Jeremy that we know he could be. Udre made the adjustment in the third quarter. Jeremy did get a little off track. Not so much the turnovers. One of them wasn't great, but the defense, the help defense. And then McHale rode the hot hand, which is what he does. And again, he'll ride the hot hand of interchangeable point guard, interchangeable power forward. That's just because that's how he sees it. And they won. And Aaron Brooks shot the 2 final free throws. And yes, the media is spinning it like Aaron Brooks is the greatest player that ever lived. Of course, because he's not Jeremy. We know that. That's going to happen. Oh, that's fine. That's what happened. That's what happened in those 2 games. But life moves on. Jeremy's still being a professional. I don't think Jeremy's taking it so hard like he took it last year. And we move on to the next game, and I would imagine that Jeremy Lin's going to be the starter of that game. Again, he's still doing well. For Jeremy, just try to stay within yourself. I think it's great what he's done in terms of stepping back in the offense because, again, he needs to do that to fit right with this team. And that's what he needs to do as a player right now. That doesn't mean he can't run the show. We know he can run the show. But for this team to get your playing time and to fit in properly in this situation, that's what he needs to do. And that's what he's done. That's why his PER is lower. He's still doing well. His numbers are still very good. Just roll with it for now. That's what he's doing. That's what I would tell the fan base to do. So that's the recap. Sacramento, New York, and overall situation. He is in a tough spot, but he's handling it the way that he should handle it. Blowing up, demanding trades isn't going to get you anything. It's going to make you, all the doubters, it's going to give them a feeding frenzy, like throwing meat to a shark. It's just going to let them just try to tear him apart. He doesn't need that. That's the last thing that he needs. There might be things going on behind the scenes. This is why you have agents. Don't be surprised if stuff is going on. Why do you think Jeremy's name's getting mentioned so much in trade talks? Things will work themselves out. And as I said, I'm even more okay with him getting traded now. I was concerned. I did not want him to get traded because I thought Houston was going to be really good. They're not as good as I thought they were. The team is not as good as I thought that it was. It's not ready for the next step yet. You might get a little bit of a run. Anything can happen in the playoffs, but they're not there yet. They're too flawed. So the truth is, when you have a team that's not quite what the expectations are, then you're going to look for scapegoats, and Jeremy's the scapegoat. So he doesn't need that situation. So if he is traded, good. I'm definitely okay with that. If he's not traded, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Again, there are things to be learned playing in this system and for a coach like McHale. There are things to be learned for Jeremy to complete his game, and he's learning them. He's working on them. Shooting, a different type of a system that's not geared to him, not being the focus of the offense, the hot stock, cold stock thing, learning how to manage a coach that's like that, because there are coaches like that. So he's learning from this. He's improving. I won't cry in my pillow if he's not traded, but I'm definitely okay with him being traded. I'm very much okay with him being traded. But so we'll see how it works out. Okay, that is it for now. Again, I am PFV Paul Filario, the NBA expert. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. I'm behind on Twitter, emails. Grace, I got your email. Thanks a lot for emailing me. I will respond to you. I just have not had a chance to do anything. And I'm probably not going to have a bunch of chances to do anything really soon. So, again, it's not personal. I'm not trying to diss anybody or blow anybody off. I just can't do it right now. But I did want to take time to make this, just because I know that this is probably the thing I could do to kind of most connect with as many people as quickly as I can when people aren't feeling good. And I know a lot of people aren't feeling happy about things with Jeremy over the last few games. So just hang in there. Hang in there. I know John did a video about the game. That was cool. He did the video about the New York game. Good. Look, the bottom line in the New York game, too, when people look back on it 2 months from now, they'll say, well, Jeremy was the starter and the team won. Good. That doesn't hurt Jeremy any. Nobody's going to remember every single thing that happened. So he started and the team won. And he beat his old team again. So that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. So, yeah, look, thanks for watching Conservative New Media. We do strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel when we are able to make videos. Yeah, just hang in there. Hang in there. Give Jeremy a break. Nobody else is giving him a break right now, so it's probably good if you give him a break. And again, when something happens or whatever, I'll do something. I'll do a video if I'm capable of doing a video. I know people aren't happy now. That's why I did a video. I want to kind of lift people up a little bit and certainly tell people you can turn out the NBA if you want, if you're just too frustrated, but don't turn on Jeremy. That's not right. This guy has a whole bunch of stuff on his plate, and he's dealing with it about as well as you could possibly deal with it, given all of the variables involved. What more do you want? This is all he can do, and I think he's handling it great. Personally, his journey. If you look at before New York to now, what is it, like 2 years? I mean, it's not even that long. Look how far he's come. Look at what he's been able to do. Look at how he's changed the landscape. Made good money. Done stuff with his foundation. Affected people with the testimonies. Brought a whole bunch of people into the NBA. Come on. Give him a break. Give him a break. That's what I would say. Just step back a little bit. We all want 10 steps forward of progress. Sometimes you can only do one at a time. Jeremy's doing great. He's doing great. So hang in there with him. He's not going anywhere. His health seems pretty good. He had, obviously, that fluke injury on the knee. Back spasms, it can happen. That happens. If you ever had them, I mean, I've had them. They're not fun, but they come and go. His health seems basically good. He's going to keep playing. Hopefully the team will keep winning. And hopefully he'll continue to put up numbers like he's been putting up. So hang in there with him. That's it. I mean, it's probably the main reason why I made the video. Don't give up on him. We already know when people give up on him, that's a mistake. That's not what you want to do. Jeremy and his team are on the correct path. They are on the correct path. I am certain of that. I am as certain of that as I've always been. So let's just hang in there. That's what I would tell you for now. I hope everybody's doing well wherever you are around the world, day or night when you watch this video. It's very, very, very cold where I'm at right now. It's like, I don't know, -2 Fahrenheit or whatever. I don't know what that is in Celsius. It's quite cold. Hopefully you're staying warm if you're in the northern hemisphere, and hopefully you're staying cool if you're in the southern hemisphere and it's now summer. Take care. Again, I'll get back to people when I can. I hope everybody's doing great. I know, again, I'm behind on some of my correspondence, so but I appreciate everything everybody said and everything everybody has written to me on Twitter, emails, etc. Okay, that's it. The next game coming up is against the Los Angeles Lakers this upcoming Wednesday in the United States. That's when Jeremy gets to see Mike D'Antoni and the new Mike D'Antoni point guard and Kendall Marshall. And we definitely should win that game. Let's just put it that way. The Lakers are struggling. They're not that good right now. So hopefully Jeremy will be able to put his best foot forward in that game and do well. So that's it for now. Take care. Talk to you soon.